Mark 1? Gunnery Sergeant Charlie Bass asked. He gave the Terminal Dynamics tech rep a hard look. Are you sure we can catch the bandits we're hunting with a Mark 1? He gestured toward the small black box on the table. The Mark 1, as you call it, Sergeant, is the Universal Positionator Up-Downlink Mark 1, Darrell George answered. He wore an expression of superiority. It was clear to Bass that the tech rep was explaining his toy to the NCOs gathered around the table, only because he thought the men were too dumb to understand without his explanation. "Where was it field-tested?" Gunny Bass asked. Sergeant Major Tanglefoot gave him a dangerous look. "I'm glad you asked that," George said to the assembled first sergeants and company gunnery sergeants of 31st Fist. He smoothed his pencil-lined mustache with a chubby forefinger before proceeding. "You have the right to know everything necessary about the testing of the equipment that your lives and the lives of your men might depend on. The final field testing of the UPUD," he pronounced it UPUD, "was at Aberdeen. It passed every phase with flying colors." George smiled broadly as if announcing they'd just won the lottery. "Aberdeen, a testing range. What you're telling us is that this Mark 1 hasn't seen action yet." Bass carefully avoided looking at the sergeant major. "As I said, Sergeant," George drew himself up to his full, soft 6 feet of height and thrust his jaw aggressively toward his interrogator. "It passed every phase of its testing with flying colors." Bass's jaw locked at constantly being called Sergeant, as if he were some damn Army non-com. He wasn't in the Army. He was a gunnery sergeant in the Confederation Marine Corps. "Are there any other questions?" Sergeant Major Tanglefoot broke in. Bass spoke up again. "Sergeant Major, you know, I know, and so does every other NCO in this room, that there's a world of difference between controlled tests and tests under fire. We're on a combat operation here. This is no place to be testing unproven equipment." "Everything in the Corps' inventory had a first time under fire," Sergeant Major Tanglefoot replied. His voice said his patience was running out. "This is the first time for the UPUD." Bass winced. "Right, Sergeant Major." He swallowed, knowing he was on thin ice arguing with Tanglefoot. "It's just, I think we shouldn't use the Mark 1 without taking along the radios and locators that we know work, just in case this thing doesn't." In a voice that brooked no further discussion, the sergeant major said, "Headquarters has directed we turn in all platoon and company radios, geo-position locators, and vector computers. Each company and platoon will be issued a UPUD to replace them. That's one piece of equipment to take the place of 3. Company gunnery sergeants, you will turn in the old and be issued the new, personally. First sergeants, you will see to it that they do. That is all. Do it." The 20 senior non-commissioned officers of the 31st Fleet Initial Strike Team's operational units rose and started filing out of the room. Charlie Bass knew when to shut up. This was one of those times. But Darrell George didn't know when to stop. He said to Bass, "Sarge, don't worry. I personally guarantee you the UPUD Mark 1 will perform as advertised." Bass turned back and glared at George. "And I personally guarantee you, if we lose one man because this thing doesn't work as advertised, you, personally, will pay for it." "As you were, Bass," Sergeant Major Tanglefoot snapped. "You will knock off this nonsense, gunnery sergeant." "Aye, aye, Sergeant Major. Sorry, sir." He gave George a look that said he was anything but sorry. Then he followed his company first sergeant out of the room.